From Dated to I Do is a Christian woman's guide to praying, planning, and preparing for her future husband. If you're a single woman, this book will help you stop feeling stuck and start living a more fulfilling life today. You'll date with integrity and self-respect in today's anything goes society. You'll position yourself to meet Mr. Right without looking desperate or compromising who you are. If you're ready to live the life that God has for you, and if you're ready to prepare for the next season of life, which is marriage, then this book is exactly what you've been looking for. It is available right now at Amazon.com. From Dated to I Do is a Christian woman's guide to praying, planning, and preparing for her future husband. If you're a single woman, this book will help you stop feeling stuck and start living a more fulfilling life today. You'll date with integrity and self-respect in today's anything goes society. You'll position yourself to meet Mr. Right without looking desperate or compromising who you are. If you're ready to live the life that God has for you, and if you're ready to prepare for the next season of life, which is marriage, then this book is exactly what you've been looking for. It is available right now at Amazon.com.
Non-negotiables that you should not negotiate on, just like we talked about having that relationship with Christ. Then of course I'm gonna choose number 3, but if it's as this person is late all the time, that may be, and I'm an on-time person, maybe I can't work with that. Is it something that could annoy me? Yes, but could it something I live with for the rest of my life? So I guess it just all depends on, again, your non-negotiables, your green flags, which is, you're okay with it. Then those yellow flags you may be annoyed with, but, it doesn't drive you away like those red flags.
Hello, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Heart Talk with Coach Abby, the show where we talk about singleness, marriage, and everything in between. I am one of your hosts, Martinique Brown. I'm so excited that you guys have decided to join the show today. We also have, of course, Coach Abby in the house. Coach Abby, how are you doing?
I'm good,
That's good.
Martinique, and how are you?
I'm doing good. I hope our viewers are doing well as well. We have such an interesting topic today, like we do every episode. Today we are talking about is there a such thing as love at first sight? Type in the comment field if you believe in love at first sight, or do you not believe in it, and why? Why do you take that stance? Like I said, I'm really excited to hear people's views about that. And then I'm really excited to hear about just Coach Abby's perspective on some of the questions that we had from the post that I put on Facebook in the week. Another great thing about our show is it's actually interactive. So we would love for you to talk with us, ask Coach Abby questions as well. Now you can actually type in your question, or you can actually call in your question. Now, if you decide to call in and allow us to hear your voice, make sure you have patience with us. We will get to you when you call in. Another thing is, if you're tuning in from any other page other than Worthy of Love Counseling and Coaching, or Everything Authors, or Martinique Y. Brown, make sure you come over to one of those three pages and we will be able to relay your questions to Coach Abby. Now, Coach Abby is actually a licensed mental health therapist and relationship coach. So now, if you're interested in her being your relationship coach, you can actually sign up for a free discovery session with her. Now, you can do this today. You can do this right now, right there next to that old school red telephone. You can click on that link and you can actually schedule your free discovery session with her. And Coach Abby is also an author. So if you're interested in learning more about her book, make sure you click on that link that's next to the $sign. All of this information is listed in that description box. So viewers, make sure you give us a virtual shout out. Let us know you are in the virtual world. Coach Abby, for our first timers and the people that don't know you, can you just let them know a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, hi everybody. Welcome to tonight's show. My name is Coach Abby, and I'm a Christian dating coach, and I help single professional Christian women position themselves to meet the man that God has for them.
Excellent, excellent. So giving a shout out to Jeanette Sullivan, as well as Evelyn Whitney. Maxine Jordan says hello, as well as Regina Hill and Julia Brooks. Julia said, I'm not sure if I believe in love at first sight. I believe there can be an instant attraction. I'm with you, Julia. I'm like, oh, he is so cute. And
I
it
want to
might.
give a special shout out to Maxine Jordan. That's my mom. Hi, Mom.
Oh, Mom, all the way. She's from STL, right?
Yes.
STL in the house. And then we have Jeanette Sullivan. She says, you don't know someone right away when you meet them, so it couldn't pop. That girl, Jeanette said she ain't even down with all this stuff. She like, it couldn't possibly be love. Next. Oh, she didn't say all that, but she like, it couldn't possibly be love. I hear you, Jeanette. I agree with you. So, Coach Abby, what does love at first sight mean? Let's get that out on the table.
So when people say love at first sight, they believe that they've instantly fallen in love with the person upon first viewing them. Mm-hmm. So when I hear, women and, men say, oh, love at first sight, like there's this instant feeling that they have summed up as love with just seeing the person without any type of, interaction or conversation. It's just like they see him the first time and they're like, man, I knew that she or he was the one, So that's what I think of when I hear love at first sight.
Yeah, definitely. Me also. And if I gave you a virtual shout out, make sure you go ahead and share this video now so that more people will know about the show, as well as Coach Abby and her services, as well as her book. That's definitely what I think of when I hear people say love at first sight, as well. And they also have a not a virtual, but a reality show called Marriage at First Sight.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Oh, that's one of my favorite shows.
Is it? Could you do something like that?
I couldn't do something like that, but it's kind of like modern day arranged marriages. It's, it's like your typical, because, some countries, still do arranged marriages. Yeah. So it's like, I guess, America's way, a modern day marriage based on like a reality TV show.
Right. Because the professionals are the ones that look at like the personality, the characteristics of these individuals, and they hook them up. And it is so funny. Like when they first meet them, some of them are like, oh my gosh, I'm not even physically attracted to this person.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I definitely could not do marriage at first sight. I could do engaged at first sight, long as I haven't signed anything yet. But no.
Right, exactly. Because after the 8 weeks, then they do have that option to divorce because they are legally married. And that's the part that I'm just like, but
yeah. Jeanette says she hasn't seen it. Check it out. It's pretty good. Regina said marriage at first sight equals train wreck. I'm telling you, it was this interracial couple on there though, and I was rooting for them. It was like a couple seasons back. I was like, okay, y'all, they really seemed like they was in love, and they decided to go through with it and stuff like that. So it's an interesting show, but for it to count as love at first sight, do you think that both individuals need to be in love?
When I think of love at first sight, that's what I believe, that the person is actually saying that, they're in love with, this person. Like if you hear people talk and say, I knew she was the one, or I was in love when I first laid eyes on her, or when I first laid eyes on him, my interpretation of that is I'm in love with this person. Because why would you say love at first sight if there wasn't no love behind, right, the words as far as what you're talking about?
Yeah, but do you feel that it voids it out if the other person isn't in love with isn't in love with them at first sight?
Okay, I'm sorry. I understand the question now. No, I think that whoever is in love is considered love at first sight.
Okay.
Right. If the person doesn't have to actually reciprocate that love back, but if one person is saying that they love that person, then it's at first sight, then that is considered love at first sight.
So now let's talk about the big question. What is love then?
Yeah. So I'm gonna pull out my Bible app.
I was about to say, Coach Abby going to the notes. She was like, let's not play around with this word. What's y'all definition of love? What do y'all think love is? Because people, I feel like we throw around that word so much. And when I see relationships, and maybe this is just because I'm single, I'm like, that's what love is looking like for y'all. I'm like, okie dokie, because y'all are treating each other crazy. But what does love look like for y'all viewers? But go ahead, Coach Abby.
Yeah, so I want to definitely pull out Christ's definition of love. And I want to pull from, the Bible, and I'm going to be reading from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 7. And
Okay,
I'm,
so
I'm
that's
reading,
First Corinthians 13, 4 through 7.
yes.
Okay.
And I'm reading, and my translation is the New Living Translation.
Okay.
So it starts with love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable and it keeps no record of being wrong. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstances.
That's good. That's good. So what does that mean to you, like in a dating relationship?
So for me, when I hear people say, love at first sight, and then when I look at how the Bible defines love, you cannot be patient and kind with somebody at first sight without even knowing who the person is, right?
Wait, hold on. Patient and
Okay.
kind. I think that's when you really patient and kind with somebody. Like typically you patient and kind to strangers. You know what I'm saying?
But love at first sight, I'm talking about not even having an interaction with the person.
Okay.
So when I hear people say love at first sight, I'm thinking that people are saying they see this person and they immediately fall in love with this person.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when I look at the Bible's definition of love, it says love is patient and is kind. And so that's when I said that when you seeing somebody for the first time, that patient and kindness hasn't even been put out there or tested yet, is what I'm saying.
Oh, the test. I like that you said tested yet.
And also I want to go in verse 7, when it talks about love never gives up, it never loses faith, it's always hopeful, endures through every circumstances. That's how you build through love. It's through every circumstance. So you don't really know that person at sight to even know if you're even willing to be committed and stay through the trials of every circumstance. So that's why dating comes into place, to really understand, okay, if this is somebody that I really want to be with or cannot endure these circumstances. And so that's how I look at the definition of love, just from those, 3 verses that I just read.
Definitely. And I'm so thankful that, you brought out the word of God, just so we can have it to compare to maybe how we're looking at it, and also to look at it how, God looks at it as well. But why did you feel that it was important to even address this topic?
I believe because a lot of people confuse love with lust. So when even after that first conversation or with that first sight, when they see that person, they go into falsely into this relationship thinking, oh, I am in love, or he or she is, or he's the one, or I can see myself spending time with this person without actually, getting to know the person, their character, their personality, how they act within every situation. And so it's important to really understand the differences between love or, lust, because a lot of people do rush into relationships. They rush to the altar, believing that, this person, that they're in love with this person based on false, pretenses, that's not equated to love.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and I definitely agree with you in that. How do we really, like, I'm really big on physical attraction. Like you really have me. You really have me at the beginning if I'm physically attracted to you. Now, it might take me a little bit longer to like say, okay, you are not the one for me because like I'm just so physically attracted to you. Like, how do we guard ourselves from being maybe taken advantage of when maybe we are heavily physically attracted to someone?
Um, I mean, of course, you have to be physically attracted to the person. It's when you allow your what am I trying to say? Like when you allow things that may be unrealistic to drive how you meet people. For instance, if you have like, and I always go back to this list of this man has to be this tall, have this build, make this type of money, live in this type of neighborhood, drive this type of car. If you're allowing those physical attributes or those materialistic attributes to drive the type of person that you would even want to talk to, then that's when it's not based on a true foundation, right? So, but if you see somebody, you have to be physically attracted to somebody, but you shouldn't allow because he's not this height or he's not this type of build, to make you decide that no, I don't want to be with this person, because someone
Yeah.
cannot help what their height is, right? So I mean, so I just, I mean, I had to grow from that. That takes maturity. But I know a lot of women, go through oh, he has to be this tall because I'm this tall, or he has to look like this and that, and miss out on great men because they're allowing that to drive their factors versus the person's character traits, how they are as a provider, a protector, how they would actually love them for who they are, because looks can change overnight.
Yeah. You know, people always say that looks can change overnight. And then people also talk about how, something can happen to the person and maybe they're in a car accident and they no longer look the same. But I just never had that happen to me. Like the guys I were attracted to in high school, I mean, they pretty much, especially when they're athletes, they pretty much stayed in shape and everything. They still look good. So,
and it
but
doesn't have to be nothing tragic as an accident. It could be people put on weight all the time, or people lose weight, or people shave their heads, and it don't have to be anything tragic like that.
yeah,
So
yeah. But we always think of the
the worst.
extreme. Yeah. But let's talk about that physical attraction, because I feel like that's mainly what drives that love at first sight. So do you think that people associate their beauty to what somebody else looks like that's attracted to them? So let's say that you're not maybe physically attracted to this one guy, but he has all the characteristics. He has that personality that you're looking for. Do you think that we as females, we say, okay, I cannot date this guy because that makes me seem like I couldn't get someone better looking?
So I'm sorry, what was the question as far as how you gave that example?
So the question is, do you think we place our beauty on how attractive that person is?
It happens all the time. I think about, for instance, in the Bible, when God told the prophet Samuel to go anoint the next king after Saul, because God was saying, okay, Saul is doing too much, so let's go, it's time for a new king. And so when Samuel went out to Jesse, which is David's father, Samuel was basing how he felt like a king should look based on how David's older brothers looked like, tall. They were, this, they were that. And Samuel was like, oh, well, he has to be the next king because he checks out off all of this, or he has to be the next king because he, going through each brother. And God was like, man, look at the outward appearance, but I look at the heart.
Right.
And so, I think that a lot of people are guilty of just going off of physical attraction, which I'm not trying to say that physical attraction is not important, but it leaves so many women single because that's what their driving force is how a person looks or how a man looks to them, and men too, because men searches for eye candy. I'm not going to leave them out. They feel like they have to have a certain build on women and things like that, but that's why a lot of women are single, is because they use that physical attraction to drive their decision on who it is that they date. And I always like that example of how God had to even call out Samuel, because he was guilty of that too, because he was also looking for that physical attribute as far as how a king was supposed to look. And it just shows that God comes from the heart, and it's about a person's heart, because you can have the finest man in the world that treats you like crap, that curses you out, that disrespects you, that doesn't want anything to do with you. As many women stay in those abusive and toxic relationships just to say they're with this person based on how they look. I know that was long-winded, but
well, no, Coach Abby, I feel that, I mean, this is your show. If you want to be long-winded, there you go.
I just hope no one missed your question and the answers for us what I was, trying to say.
No, we got you. We have smart viewers. I mean, we got you. But I honestly pray that, I guess the way that I look at things is because I know that I'm so heavy on physical attraction, that I honestly believe that the guy that God has for me because I have definitely been attracted to guys, and like family members, aka my mom, is like, what? He is not cute. I'm like, what are you not seeing? So I believe that God is going to put that attraction in me, meaning that I'm going to think he's physically attractive, regardless of what others say. Now, I can say that in college, I definitely let some good ones go, just because I was not physically attracted to them. But hopefully that is no longer Martinique. But Regina, she actually has a really good point when we were talking about how people's physical appearances can change. So her comment is, take me for example, when I was engaged, I had not been diagnosed with cancer. John has gone from having me pretty healthy and long hair to losing my hair and being sick. I think that is a great example. And, it's so amazing how, we definitely know that part of the vows are for better or for worse. And, that was played out, especially with Regina's and John's relationship, that better for worse came in the midst of that engagement, because John could have just strictly been on the physical and like, nope, I'm not going through with this, and it's just crazy how like our mind works and what society can tell us and things like that. So and I don't even want to say so much like kudos to John, but I just thank God for people's hearts and their ability to truly see the character of the individual, as opposed to only focusing on like the physical of a person.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Regina, for sharing your story. But I mean, going back to First Corinthians 13, we don't see where it says love is physical attraction. It doesn't say anything about um love is based on how tall the person is, or love is based on how much this person can do for you, or love is based on how you know how this guy it doesn't say any of that. It's talking about the character, traits and personality of what love is.
Mhm, mhm. Is any of this an example of your life though? Like, had you ever been attracted to someone's personality and their character, but maybe not in their looks?
So I know that I had a type, and that's the word that I was looking for. So when I first met Daryl necessarily wasn't my type. And the type that I was used to dating, or that I was mostly attracted to, was men that were 6 feet and over. Daryl, you can type in the comment section if I'm wrong. Daryl was, I think, 5'7". And I don't know why I wanted
Okay.
somebody 6 feet, and I'm like 5'3", but but that's what I wanted. I was attracted to men my skin color or lighter.
Okay.
Daryl is darker. I was attracted to men that um maybe they were a little bit more muscular, or a little bit had a little bit more medium build, but Daryl has more of a small frame. And so like I said, in high school and in college, I definitely was guilty of going for that type, and I've dated those types. But none of them proven to be like who God wanted me to have, and that was Daryl. And so I know the person I was dating in college, we had planned to get married. I thought I was in love. He was, that type I was going for, and he cheated on me. So
Mhm.
apparently he didn't, value the relationship as much as I did. So it took me a while to get to, where I was by the time, I met Daryl. And I told Daryl, and probably if we met in college, I wouldn't have even looked his way, because I was not
Yeah.
at that maturity level, and I'm not saying that I'm not attracted, to my husband at all. But if I was looking for that certain type that I had, he wouldn't have been that person.
Yeah.
Based on just his height. I wouldn't have, looked his way. But I believe that once I got to the spiritual maturity level that I needed to get to where God wanted me to be, that's when he brought me there. That's when he said, "You're ready for who I actually have for you,"
That's
because
good.
you wasn't ready back then.
So was there, I know that you said that you were ready for who God has for you. So when you met Gerald, was there any time that you thought this is not this is not who I go for? Or were you a completely new Abby by this time?
Yeah, I was completely new by this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah, that's
Gerald,
why I said, yeah, maybe before I wouldn't have, but that's why I had to get to a place in my life
mhm,
to, I mean, of course there had to be some physical, attraction there. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't, but that that type that I was looking for, Daryl didn't fit that type, but there was still some physical attraction there for me to say, okay, well, I'll talk to him and see what he's about. If Even though he's not 6 feet, even though he has this smaller frame, even though he's 5'7", there was still that some attraction there that I decided to, still make that decision.
yeah, yeah. And I think that that's a good point, that there was some attraction there. And I feel like with that, it just grows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if there's something that, if there's a small little seed of something, then I truly believe that, it just grows. And I think now we have to, like, single women have to say, okay, I'm going to allow it to grow, because sometimes we can be like, we can make that conscious decision that no, I'm not going to go through with this because he is not X, Y, and Z, And so I don't know, like you said, I feel like you know, it has to be a maturity level in it as well. But I honestly hope that, like, with me, it's not a struggle with me and God. Like, I don't want to have to be convinced. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really, but Julia Brooks says that goes to show you looks don't matter in a relationship. It's all about what's in the heart. Julia, that's so hard for me, girl. I gotta have something. I gotta be having some type of
Yeah, I
idea.
don't want to say that looks does not. I'm not saying that looks doesn't matter. There has to be some physical attraction there. But what I'm saying is that so many women get tied up on that type, on how a person has to look or how they have to be physically built. A man could be just as attractive, but he's 5'3" or 5'4", right? And may have a small frame, and he could be very well attractive, but a woman will overlook him and go to the man that's 6 foot tall. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Shout out to our shorter guys. I don't mind it. I thank God for making me short, because it really expands my buffet of guys. Like, as long as he's taller than me, and it ain't too many guys that I meet that's under 5'2". So, I'm fine. But Coach Abby, how does your book address this topic?
Yeah, it just reminds the women not to get, like I said, so caught up in that type, where it makes it hard for them to be open-minded. It makes them hard to be flexible, and it really puts God in a box. And so that's, what I talk about, that, you're telling God what it is that you want. You're telling God what it is that you need, but you're not trusting in him, because he knows your heart. He knows you better than you know yourself. And you're not allowing him to actually be the God in your love life. So that's how I talk about that in the book.
Definitely. So now, if you're interested in reading the book summary of Coach Abby's book, and tell the viewers the name of your book.
From Dating to I Do, a Christian woman's guide to praying, planning, and preparing for her future husband.
So now, if you're interested in purchasing her book, make sure you go to that description box right there next to the $. You will actually see the book purchasing link. So now, if you're the type of person that needs that physical book in your hand, you can purchase that, and you can also listen to it on Audible. So now, if you enjoy listening to your books, maybe while you're washing the dishes, or you're cooking, or you're driving to work, make sure you check out that Audible as well. Again, also, if you're just not tuning in, you are watching Heart Talk with Coach Abby, the show where we talk about singleness, marriage, and everything in between. Today, we are talking about, is there such a thing as love at first sight? Now, I know, Evelyn, I know that you said that you're calling. Did you have a problem with calling? Tell me, Evelyn, in the comment field. Oh, Jeanette said, I'm 4'11". Oh, Jeanette, you little bitty. She said, I'm 4'11". So as long as he's taller, I'm just like you, Martinique, when it comes to that. I know, girl, we can wear all the heels we want.
Right.
No problem. But so is it safe to say, Coach Abby, that you do not believe in love at first sight?
No, I do not believe in love at first sight.
Do you know of anybody who says they met somebody at love at first sight?
Not personally. Most of these, when I hear that, it's on TV or, things like that. But No one personally that I know have said that they've actually fell in love at first sight.
So okay, so now we have a caller. Hold on, caller. Let me see. Let's see. This is from the 256 area code. 256, where you calling from? I just love this. I feel like I'm on a radio show. 256, where you calling from, and what's your name if you want to give it?
This is Evelyn Whitney. It's good to be back on with you ladies.
Hello, Evelyn.
Hello.
It's good to hear your voice, Evelyn.
There are a couple of things that I was thinking about as I was listening to, and one of them that I wanted to speak to, if I could, was the comment that you made, Martinique, that said sometimes you pray for God to grow your attraction to the man who is expressing interest in you, but you don't have any interest in him at all.
Okay, Evelyn. Hello, Evelyn.
Yes.
So it sounds like you. It sounds like your mouth isn't close to the phone.
It is. Is that better, or
it still sounds the same?
Hello. Is that better?
It sounds the same, but that's okay. But I just want to correct you. So now I have not prayed that God makes me attracted to the guy that is attracted to me. I just hope that it's not a battle when somebody is attracted to me. I want to also be attracted to that person.
You want it to be natural.
I want it to be natural. I don't want it to have to be a struggle or anything. Evelyn?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you, Evelyn. So did you hear my comment?
Yes, you corrected what I had said that you said. And
Correct.
I'm glad that you did that. And it speaks to the issue still that I wanted to address, kind of.
Okay.
One of the things I had said in the comments so far was that women are encouraged far more than men to consider the character of the person. And I often hear this discussion presented to women like, don't look over a guy just because he's 5'2.5" and you want somebody who's 6 feet. We always hear that, but I never hear the equal emphasis for men to stop looking past women who may not be a size 4, who may not be a size 6, or whatever they deem as small, or whatever they think is perfect. The burden of embracing a person's character above how they look is always disproportionately put on women than it is men. Even though we acknowledge that men should look at her character just as much as women, that isn't where the emphasis normally is, especially not in Christian discussions.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I wanted to point out.
Well, hold on, Evelyn. Hold on, Evelyn. I'm gonna see if Coach Abby wants to address that.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, go ahead.
No, yeah, I agree with you, Evelyn. I definitely believe that it is one-sided, when it comes to that. But I do believe that goes for both men and women as far as, the character piece. I believe the reason why it may be that disproportion, I'm not, making an excuse for it, is because that naturally God has made men to be more physically attractive. They're more drawn physically versus a woman where we're more, nurturing and emotional based, and men are more, physical based. And I believe that's why it's disproportionate. But no, I definitely agree, that should be preached, equally. But
yeah. And then I do want to let Regina, we are seeing your comments. It's just Regina. I just pick and choose like which comments to say on the air as well. But then also, Evelyn, our viewership is mostly women, and Coach Abby's services are towards women. So that's why when we're on the show, we're more so talking to women. So like if we had a room full of men, don't you worry, we would be telling them
Well,
what
that's
to
when
be
I'll bring
doing.
Daryl back on the show. Okay.
Yeah. We'll be telling all our brothers and uncles and all above to be tuning in. But go ahead with your last comment, Evelyn.
I understand the notion of men being visual creatures as is exploited to the subjugation of women and the way that we're imposed upon to always be perfect to meet their need as a visual creature, but still the equal emphasis is never on them to meet our emotional needs as we're exploited for being nurturing and things of that sort. People take that and they seem like women don't want an attractive man and that she can't take her desire for an attractive man to God because men are given the allowance of wanting somebody beautiful and it's attached to his design as a being created by God, as if God didn't put that same desire in women to want an attractive partner. So there are women who don't want to say that they want an attractive man because society, church, and in the world steamroll her over for the man's preference for how he wants his wife to look when the woman doesn't get as much emphasis on wanting an attractive man. So we hear the other side of it. They never tell us you're not supposed to want an attractive man. They just emphasize that his character should be more important than what he looks like, which, like you said, and I agree, is true for men also. But we're the ones who get that spoon-fed more thoroughly than men mostly ever do as far as these discussions go in this environment or other ones.
Yeah.
The other thing that I was thinking about was read
this has to be the
article.
last one. This has to be the last one, Evelyn, just so we can give other individuals opportunity.
Absolutely. The last thing I wanted to say was that I read an article a long time ago where this woman was being pursued by a man for whom she had no interest, not looks, not character, not anything. She was not interested in him in the absolute least. And she ultimately began to pray that God give her an interest in this man because he wanted to marry her and she had no interest in him whatsoever. Now, going along with the way that women are socialized about relationships versus the difference in how men are socialized about them, the way the article ends, she ended up marrying him and saying something to the effect that she thanks God for the husband that he gave her and all of those types of things. When whether or not she was happy, I don't know. I didn't speak to her. But everything that she said in the article is that same, I'm going to call it this, it's that same placating of the way women are supposed to take whoever approaches us, even if we don't want them, because they want us, that's just supposed to be enough. And I think that when women are approached by men that they have no interest in, we don't get the societal allowance to reject them the same way that men reject women that they're not physically interested in or they're not interested in at any capacity. Yes, women do have the same equivalence in making the choice, but the impetus upon us is usually to just accept whatever man shows up, because if we don't, we're worthless. If we don't have a purpose. The only thing we're ever supposed to want to do is be married. So this guy comes after being dragged from the edge of hell, and he's supposed to be okay for us while we break our necks being perfect for him, and he can cheat on us, and we still feel like we need to accept that, because if he walks away, then we're not whole anymore.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. We're gonna let Coach Abby address that. Thank you so much for calling in, Evelyn.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll talk with you guys a little bit later. Thank you so much for taking my comments. I love
You're
your talk.
welcome, and thank you for
Okay.
tuning
Thank you,
in.
Evelyn.
All right, go ahead, Coach
Bye.
Abby.
Bye. You just to, I mean, what Evelyn said is true. I guess I don't, for me, I guess I don't try to stay focused on what society says and what, the culture norms are. I really try to stick to what the biblical principles are, and really helping to coach women and coach women on what it is that God has for them. And I mean, what she said, I'm not going to say it's not valid, but I don't want to that's, to me, that's like, you kind of get in those gender roles, man versus woman, and what men want versus women want. But let's, stick to biblical principles and, really coach you through, what it is that God has for you in your life without looking at, all of what man or society says about what women should or shouldn't do.
Yeah, yeah. And I definitely agree that it's based on the individual, and only you can decide to
That's
allow
right.
society to influence you in your decisions that you have to live every day.
Yeah.
So but I don't think it's, I wouldn't think that it's any, this is just my opinion. I don't think it's anything wrong with asking God to help you be attracted to someone, especially like in my situation. If I was to meet a guy that has the characteristic, has that personality, and I do desire marriage, like I would be asking God, like, God, help me find something that I'm attracted to physically with this brother. But I mean, I'll try it. God told me I can ask him anything. So I would definitely ask him to be changing my heart. And that's no reason because of society. I desire to be with somebody that has those characteristics that I desire. But Coach Abby, how did you distinguish between affectionate feelings and lust?
Lust is based on selfish desires, right? It's all about pleasing, yourself. It's all about meeting, your needs and what it is that you want. So when I think of, lust, that's what, I think of. It's like that self pleasing or that self-centeredness that you have, that's, selfish and driving that desire of, pleasing me. It's all about me and what it is that I want, no matter how it affects the other person.
And how would you describe the affection feelings? Like what is different between that affection feelings and lust?
So affection is, you have to grow. To me, you still have to grow into that affection. As far as like, it has to be comfortability. It has to be, you trust this person. I think of affection as being vulnerable, being, starting to be transparent, starting to kind of let your guard down to really get to know this person and bring this person into your intimate space.
So now what do you because just based off of the comments when I wrote the post, it was going both ways. Some people were saying they do not believe in love at first sight. And then some people honestly believe in love at first sight, and maybe it didn't happen to them, but they have a family member or friend that it has happened to. What do you recommend a woman does who believes they are in love with a man who they met only once?
That they believe that they are in love, I would tell them to, if they were talking to me, I would ask them to define what love is. And we would definitely study First Corinthians, because if you met somebody once, are you willing to make those sacrifices? Are you willing, to go through certain circumstances with that person? So I would really challenge them on the definition of love. Because there's a difference between I like this person, like we have things in common, we share, certain hobbies and interests. Like I genuinely like, being with this person, but love grows over time.
Right, right. And I think that when you were saying, when you were talking about love grows over time, I think about our the celebrities that get married, and we see them, and it's so easy to talk about them because they're plastered everywhere in the media, but we see their relationships and then we see them in another relationship. And not to say that that's not what we do, but they're just like easy targets because we're seeing their life. But I just wonder, like, where's the unconditional part of like these relationships, especially when they say that they love each other, and I really see how that goes back to your definition of lusting over somebody, because like you said, it just focuses on what makes you happy, as opposed to both of you guys working together to make this team work. So I agree. Like, I don't believe in love at first sight, because I just believe that how can you love someone unconditionally that you only met once? And I know we are quick to say as Christians, oh, I love you, because we're supposed to love everybody because we are Christians, but there is a difference, with it. Like, are you willing to die for that person? That's what I think about. When it comes to unconditional love. But what do you do when you feel that your love at first sight is not mutual? Like, what do you recommend someone does, a woman does?
I believe I would still encourage her to understand what is the definition of love. So to say that a person's to say that the love is not mutual, that person may have more of a realistic understanding of what love means and how love is defined, in their life.
And I'm thinking about these women that do believe in love at first sight, and they, they do feel that they've met somebody and they are in love with this person. Do you think that they should tell this individual, or should they keep it to themselves and just let the relationship play out and see if it is truly love?
I would recommend them to let the relationship play out. Again, when I just believe when somebody say love at first sight, I just question, do they even know what the definition of love means? You can have a like at first sight. You may have a lust at first sight based on, let's say, a physical attraction. Then when you actually start talking to the person, it could be a like at first sight. Like, oh my gosh, I really like this person. This person is really nice. I feel, he's easy to talk to, or I feel safe with him. That's you're starting to like this person. But to say love at first sight, I just, that takes time. And I'm just looking at, verse 7, when it talks about one of the things that love is endures through every circumstance. You haven't even had that real circumstance within that dating relationship to know if you're willing to, endure whatever that situation is.
Yeah. And that, for some reason, I was thinking about, some ladies that take on that mentality of a ride or die girl, that they will go through anything, with their man. And, when I feel like when we're so quick to commit ourselves to someone, I question, like, are they committing themselves to us? Like, we're ready to jump in front of a train for this person. And he looking at you like, girl, I wouldn't even buy your train ticket. So it's like, we're investing all of this into somebody that's not even reciprocating the same energy towards us at all. And I think that that's the saddening part about it. You know, I honestly, you know, I just don't like that, because I feel that as females, we desire that loving relationship so much that we accept anything, because we hear so much that relationships are not perfect. And I feel that we equivocate that to him maybe not putting in as much effort as we do, and tolerating so much more, and devaluing ourselves from that as well. So I just really hope, I don't know, it's so crazy that, you know, we talk about these things, and I just hope that the right people that need to really hear this stuff, because we have some strong, independent women that listen to the show. And so I really, ladies, go ahead and share this video to maybe someone that, you know, maybe they don't value, you know, have that strong self-worth. You know, just tell them to tune into the show, catch it on the replay, tell them it was good, and because it is good. But do you believe that men and women, do you believe, this is a question from the post, do you believe men and women can truly love each other without there being any sexual connection in a male and female relationship?
It's a purpose. Are they dating and the purpose is marriage, or they're just friends? I guess what's the status?
Let's put them in both status. So let's give us your answer to just friends, and give us your response to them dating, no sex.
Yeah, I mean, as far as romantic relationship, definitely two people can love each other without, you know, the sexual connection. We talk, you know, that's what we talk about is, you know, engaging in premarital sex, and, you know, waiting, you know, for marriage, you know, to you know, engage in, you know, in that sexual encounter. But, you know, you can love that. And that's actually great, because you're not allowing like sexual chemistry. You're not allowing that physical attraction to kind of, you know, gauge the relationship. So usually when sex is involved, it becomes more intense. It emphasizes the relationship. There's more, you know, feelings and emotions involved, and it just really confuses the relationship overall. So yes, you can. And even as, you know, a male and female friend that's platonic, they're not you know, dating or anything like that. I know, Martinique, you talked about, you know, your male friends. Would you say that you love them?
I did love them. I did love them. They were, you know, they were really good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can definitely attest and say, yes, you can be in a loving relationship with somebody of the opposite sex without having sex with them.
Yeah.
Now, this question, I mean, it talks about pretty much what we've been addressing, the physical side of it, though. But do you think that it's morally wrong to be concerned with the physical appearance of the significant other?
Yeah, kind of going back to, like you said, what we talked about. If you're being driven on this type, you know, that makes like this type of man has to be, you make a decision on how you date people or who you date people, then to me, that's when it becomes, you know, then you have to question, okay, you know, is it about my type, or is it about who God has for me?
And I know that you talked about the type that you had. Was there a conversation that you felt that you had to have with God to help you really be open to who God wanted for you?
Yeah, so for me, after the last relationship, you know, I had just was not, um, a godly relationship. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. Um, that's when I really repented to Christ and really asked his forgiveness, as far as how I was going about these types of relationships. Like I knew that I, wanted marriage, but I wasn't going about it in the right way. And so I really believe at that point, once I repented, I was able to surrender everything to the Lord when it came to my love life, when it came to my relationships.
That's really good. Now, let me ask you something.
Mhm.
We talk about your change, and was there a time when maybe you noticed a change in yourself, or and did other people say to you, man, Coach Evie, I know they call you Coach Evie, but man, Coach Evie, I'm seeing something different in you?
Um, I mean, my family members and friends might have, noticed that Daryl wasn't the typical guy I would go forth, if that's what you mean.
Well, I'm just
Is
talking
that
about the change, because when people change, it sometimes it's noticeable, and
mm-hmm.
sometimes you could be shocked at your own change. Like, I can't believe I like that, or I can't believe like I've become open to that. Was there a time when you said to yourself, like, man, Coach, you really changing?
Yeah, I mean, after that point of when I vowed that I was not going to engage in premarital sex, that was that change, for me, doing things, differently. Um, as far as how I go about choosing the type of men that I would
Mm-hmm.
date.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I just want to throw this out here as well. So Julia Brooks says it's hard finding a man not looking for premarital sex. Sometimes you just want intellectual and spiritual conversation. And then Evelyn also commented to her comment and says, and these men are likely Christians, at least in proclamation. How do women who are trying to practice abstinence, how do we stay encouraged when we know so many men, and maybe even every man that we have met um, will not practice in abstinence? How do
Yeah,
you stay encouraged?
I mean, unfortunately, we live in a sex fulfilled society, with the church, with the non church. And I mean, it's just not men, it's women too. Women are easily giving themselves up to men. And that's what makes it harder, for women, the women that are practicing abstinence, because if a man is not looking for that, he can easily go find a woman that will, give it up to him. But I would say, just continue to stay encouraged. Do what God has called you to do. Continue to date. Put yourself out there. Continue to meet people. I wouldn't encourage you to hide behind closed doors. I wouldn't encourage you to, um, think that this man is still going to fall out the sky. You still have to work, right? You still have to work whatever God has called you to do. He's not looking for you to sit on the sidelines. This is a time for him. He's looking for you to trust him. So you still have to make sure you're putting yourself out there and doing what God has called you to do. And he will bring you that man that, is practicing premarital sex. I mean, they are out there, but I mean, unfortunately, that's just the society we live in. Both men and I'm gonna say a lot of women are
Heck
just
yeah.
putting themselves out there. When I look at reality TV, and I really like Real Housewives. I mean, they just like they, and so it's easy that women are making it easy for men not to work.
Yeah.
They are. So like I said, you just have to work harder because you're going against the norm.
Right. And what do you mean by that work harder part? What does that look like literally?
Not to give up, stand your ground, continue to date. You ladies continue to date and put yourself out there and continue to meet people. You're just going to have to just continue to work harder and stand in your ground and who it is that who it is that you stand for.
That's good. And that reminds me of Regina's comment, because she was saying that so many times we're asking God for this mate, but how many times are we asking God to um help us to become that wife, to develop within us those characteristics to be prepared when we do meet our husband. And so that's what I'm thinking about. Like, that's what really would be setting us apart. And I'm not saying, like, I don't know, I don't want a female to like go out on the extreme and say, okay, well, I need to just be changing my whole persona so that I can be wifey material. But no, like, I just wonder, like, are we developing ourselves? Are we allowing God to develop us? And like going back to also what your book teaches is building your foundation in Jesus Christ and becoming that person who he created you to be, as well. Plug, if you're interested in learning more about Coach Abby's book, make sure you go to that description box right there next to the $sign. Click on that link and you will actually be able to read that book summary as well. And this is the last question. I know we definitely desire women to practice abstinence in these when they're dating men. How soon should you have this conversation that you practice abstinence when you're dating someone? Let me know if that needs to be a totally different topic, Coach Abby.
No, I believe I've said this before up front immediately.
Like first conversation on the phone, or if we're doing online dating, like our first typed message, should this be in our profile?
I did I did a online dating challenge a couple of weeks ago, and I talked about making sure that it's in your profile. I mean, you should let people know. Why could, if someone doesn't value abstaining from marriage, you shouldn't even be talking to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, don't waste your time.
Don't waste your time, ladies. Well, this was definitely a great discussion. Again, remind our viewers the services that you offer.
So for any ladies that are needing a dating coach to help them set up their online dating profile, to help them walk through their matches, and really just understanding their purpose as a single woman, I offer a 12-week coaching package on that. And for any ladies that are in Maryland or DC and maybe looking for a Christian counselor, then I also have services on that as well.
Excellent. And with being in the Maryland and DC, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Maryland and DC area,
Mm-hmm.
you also take couples, right? Or no?
Yeah, if I have any couples listening, but yeah, I was just talking mainly, with the women.
Well, I mean, all of our
Oh,
viewers ain't like not in a relationship. We might have some viewers that they might be in a relationship. So I
okay.
just
Well,
want to
yeah.
let them know also that you do take on
Yes.
couples as well. So now, you guys, I said I just want to remind you to click on that link. Coach Abby told us about her services, but make sure you click on that link right next to the telephone. You can definitely set up your discovery free discovery session with Coach Abby. You can schedule that today if you would like. It won't be today, but you can schedule it today. But make sure you definitely join us again on November 22nd. And we are talking about, do you have the ability to change a person? Now, this is going to be good because I know I be trying to change people like in my little subtle way. I'm like, not no more, Martinique. I don't have time to be changing nobody. But make sure you guys tune in for that episode. It will be again 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We definitely appreciate all of you all for your great comments. And I just love the interaction, of our viewers with each other and with us as well. We hope that you guys have a great remainder of the night. Continue to share this video so that more people know about Coach Abby as well as her services and about the show as well. Again, we hope that you have a great night and we will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.